Well, we do have something very interesting. It's hidden in the grass right now, but should make an appearance shortly. There you go, just on the left sense. Just go left a little bit. You can see a little tail flicking every now and then, and a little ear flicking as well. And if you go up a bit, you'll see exactly what we're looking at. And there we go. The Styx Pride has just come onto WildEarthTV. So they've just crossed from Little Gari, and there's one of the older cubs watching down below where all the naughty little ones are playing. And everybody seems to be full of energy this afternoon. They've all been running up and down. The adults are on top and have gone a little bit further north than where we are at the moment. They're up on the top there. You can see an ear of one of the adults, but the other smaller ones, there they come. They're starting to come up, and I'm pretty sure the games are going to continue. There we go. You see lots of trotting about. I love it when lions are like this, when they play and they have fun and they enjoy themselves. It is the best thing. And I was just saying, now is the time when we should start to see cats happening, and that we're going to have some luck. And look at this. How cool is this? So older sibling is battering the younger one, but these are all important games, and you can see it's very gentle. This is so cool. Like I say, we often get the lions, they're fairly lazy, but the cooler weather means that there's lots of running around and games being played at this stage. So we're going to try and carry on and just keep up with them at the moment, and try and see if we're going to see more of this stalking behavior. Look, there we go. Here comes another one up the bank, and there goes another one now, and it's all just games at the moment. There's not much in the way of sitting tight. Everybody is playing, everybody is chasing each other, and so I think we're in for a wonderful afternoon of cuteness, remainder of our afternoon anyway. Hey, little one, are you going to stalk us now? Look at this one just peering over. It's almost like it's looking for another one to pounce on. Now, there's no other cubs that I know of behind us, so it's just sitting and watching, and I think it's looking, hoping that there was somebody down below that it could do the same thing and pounce. But how beautiful is that? You can see the evening colors in the background, and this little cub staring off into the distance at the moment. Absolutely wonderful. We're so fortunate when we get to spend time like this, and the Styx Pride has really kind of come into their own in the last week. We've had no sign of the Styx for quite some time, and all of a sudden in the last week it's as though that's where they've woken up and decided that Djuma is a place that they can come and spend time, and they are now kind of in this area and actually spending a lot more time around our southern boundaries, which is wonderful for us because the Angama Pride seems to be absent quite a bit these days, and so always nice to have these guys back in the area. And I know that they sometimes are not the prettiest lions that we have in this area, and there are lots of mange scars on them, but I find them full of character. The Styx Pride has always been a pride that I've been quite a kind of close to, given that I've spent a lot of time with them in the past, and they were a pride that we saw lots at Chitwa, and so, you know, I always enjoy following them and watching them. Look, you see how this one is watching? There's another one that's coming running past me now, and so I think it's, you see how it's stalking? It's already getting that young kind of, and that instinct that's going to come in handy later in life. So it's practicing. There comes the other one, and you see how that one is low to the ground, and then it comes. So cool. You can hear a little bit of growling and carrying on as well. Now, Kirsten, you're wondering why the Styx are here if they haven't been here in such a long time. I think it's more a case that we've had a situation where they've had cubs for quite some time, and so the young cubs have always been in an area where, you know, they've got to stay quite close. They've got to make sure that they look after them and make sure that the cubs are in the same area. Now that the cubs are big enough to walk with the pride, I think we're seeing a situation that they're going to start coming into these areas a lot more, and we're going to start seeing them a lot more. The other side of it also is that the Styx Pride at the moment is not feeling any pressure from the Nkuhumas on this side. At the end of the day, the Nkuhumas are not here as much. There's not as much scent marking, there's not as much vocalizing, and that means it's very easy for these Styx to come in here. They're not feeling threatened in any way. A few years ago, last year at this time, because there was so many sort of sightings of, or had so much of the Nkuhumas here, there was a lot of scent marking, there was a lot of vocalizing from them, and that would have kept the Styx south. The Styx would have known that the Angama Pride is a larger grouping of lions, and therefore they don't really want to compete with them. Now, we're not hearing the Nkuhumas calling, we're not hearing the Birminghams with the Nkuhumas in this area making a lot of noise, and that means that these guys have now started to push back. And the thing about the Styx Pride is everyone forgets that the Styx Pride was a lot on WildEarthTV. I remember the Styx Pride when I was at Chitwa, that this is where they used to spend a lot of their time. In fact, they used to go all the way up to Quarantine, Gari Dam, in that area, and spend long periods around that that section. So it's not uncommon for them to be here. It's just, I think, with the Nkuhumas spending so much time here last year, it meant that the Styx had to find somewhere else and move in a different direction. And now with the Birminghams being dominant and all of those kind of things, it's allowed these guys to spend time now moving in this territory that the Nkuhumas is no longer occupying. Right, I'm trying to just keep up with them. They run so fast because they're so playful. The adults are way ahead. Well, just one adult that I can see, and I think they're heading towards Treehouse Dam. That's where they're kind of angling for, and so I'm hoping that they are going to go and drink eventually at Treehouse. The way that they're moving and this pace that they're walking, we should get to Treehouse before the end of the show, and we should be able to see them. So that's really great news as well. But I'm catching up now, slowly but surely, with some of the adults there. You can see it's just one adult that I find. Oh, there's the other adults in front. So two of the adults that I can see, and then a number of the young ones all trotting around and kind of running after one another. Lots of playing going on. I wonder if they think they're being led to a kill, because at the end of the day they did get a bit of food this morning, but I wonder if they think maybe food's on the cards because mom is leading them in this direction. I'm not quite sure. Right, I think let's try and get around and get into the front of this pride and see if we can get a front on view and not have to chase them from behind, because I always feel bad when you're behind lions in these thickets because you kind of crash through the bush and it almost feels like you're kind of pushing them a lot faster than they want to move. So it's a little bit careful with the ends. There we go. So we're just getting through, although it's just a cuddle pile at the moment. There's lions all on top of each other in front here. You can see they've all collapsed onto the oldest female and they all over her. Oh, she's now gotten up and said, no, I've had enough, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to run after her. And lots of energy for a pride that generally you would associate, with sleeping at this time of the day. Normally in summer it would be still very hot now and we wouldn't see too much movement, but because it's a cooler evening and after this rain, I think they're feeling quite invigorated, and this is why they're running around like they are and chasing each other, and there's so much kind of happening and so much activity between them. How cool is that? So even though they are just playing, and you can see this is all great techniques, when they do this later in life, it's exactly how they would fight, as they'd go up onto their back legs, use their paws, hunting, it's how they would run and jump. So everything is great practice, even though it's playing, is great practice for later in life when these guys are going to have to be the efficient killers that they need to be in order to survive. And so really good practice, and again also for fighting purposes, it's good that they learn the techniques and work out how they go about surviving as a lion out here. And so these games are always wonderful to watch because you can see that the technique is there and the instinct is there. It's just about honing it and getting it right before they kind of go off into being adults, and particularly if they're young males, because they're going to rely on it a lot more than if they are females. Right, all of you, are you going to settle down a little bit here? I want to try and just punch through this horrible thicket that we've got here. It's not very pleasant at all. Shona, you're wondering if all male lions will join a coalition or do some go solo? Well, Shona, it depends. I mean, I have seen solo males going out and about in the world, but a coalition is always better. At the end of the day, a coalition means that they're able to survive a lot better. So there we go. Hello, all of you naughty little faces. And so a coalition would mean that they would survive a lot better. There's more likelihood of them establishing a territory, more likely that they are going to be able to be successful in hunting and to be able to find themselves in a place where they can mate with females. But like I say, it does happen. If let's say there is one male in the Styx Pride out of all these cubs, then you're going to find a situation that male unfortunately has to go on his own. He's not going to have an opportunity or a chance, and it's only if he can find another lone male, and sometimes you'll find a bonding process taking place, but it is very seldom. It's not common at all that you'll find a bonding situation taking place between random males. It's only if they both can come across each other at the same time in the same sort of age group that they will then join together and make a coalition. So we saw it a lot with lions down in the south. There was a male lion that was part of a coalition. His coalition member died, unfortunately, and he actually then joined up with a different male from the Sabi Sands, and they became a coalition for a while. So it can happen, but and the reason why it happens is because obviously it's a situation where it's much safer if they're together than apart. So you can see she's got quite a heavy tummy there as well. Very, very cool. Sorry, Sens, I'm in your way a little bit. But we're not far from Treehouse Dam now. We're actually just south of the dam itself. It is not too far at all. So, Chitty Chatty Meg, you're wondering if any of these individual Styx lions have names. lions, no. So there was one female from the Styx Pride that had a name right in way back in the end. Are you busy stalking me? Don't stalk me. Don't be naughty. So there was one way back that was named Bibi. Sorry, not Bibi, Gogi. Bibi was from the Salala Pride. I do apologize about that. So I don't know why I said that. But anyway, her name was Gogi, which Gogi is an affectionate term for a gogo. And a gogo in South Africa is a grandmother or something like that. And so that's why she was called that, because she was an old lioness. And I had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with that female. And unfortunately, it was really quite sad to watch her, because when I got to see her, she started to really go into her older years. I think she was about 15, 16 when she eventually passed away. 16, I think it was, when she eventually died. But by the time she was at that age, all she had for teeth were these just kind of, they almost looked like little rounded pebbles that you put in a fish tank. That's how blunted they were. And on top of that, she also had a situation where she was kind of going blind. She was getting glaucomas or cataracts in her eyes. She was just really in not very good condition. And I remember watching her on a buffalo carcass just prior to her passing away, and it was very sad because she was trying to chew the hide of the buffalo, but just didn't have the teeth to actually destroy that hide and to break it up, and she ended up trying to kind of suck the meat off and using her tongue to actually feed rather than biting off chunks. So she was the only one from the Styx Pride that had it. That stage. Nowadays, we don't have any names for these three lionesses at all, and so I'm not sure if maybe someday they will get names, but normally with the prides, it's very seldom that the females get names unless there's something unique about them. So like Amber Eyes of the Nkuma Pride, she's got those incredibly rich honey-colored eyes, and that's why we know her as Amber Eyes. The rest of the prides, we don't really have names for the rest of the pride in the Nkuhumas as well as the Styx, so it's just the way it goes. Right, now almost at Treehouse. We're right where Shadow had her kill the other day. There's some impalas here that I'm sure are going to start shouting any minute now when they see cubs barreling towards them. I'm pretty sure we're going to start to hear some alarm calls from them. And impalas need to be careful, because at this stage of the you will have a situation where there are a number of little lambs around, and so these lionesses would not be adverse to going after a few lambs from time to time, so they would have to be very careful. We know there was a few lambs recently in this area, and you can see these lionesses are on the hunt. So there's only the two lionesses. The lioness with the 4 young cubs is not here, and so they are looking for food. You can see the way they're walking and stopping. They're approaching Treehouse Dam, and so what they're doing is, as they walk towards the dam, they know dams are areas where a lot of the time there can be food, and so that's why they're stopping and listening and looking ahead of them, just to make 100% sure that there isn't anything. But we're hopefully going to get a situation where everybody's going to line up around the dam just now. So while we follow these guys, I believe Ralph is still on the search for some cats of his own, and I wonder if he's had any luck. We have indeed, and we've got the most amazing scene as the youngsters are still in full play mode, and they've decided that this Fallen Over Marula is the best place to play, and so they're all up and down in it. They've kind of gone up and run in, then they run out again, and you can see it's climbing all over the place, and it's not very kind of clean and not very sort of full of finesse at the moment. It's all over the place, and they're falling and slipping and doing what lions generally do. They're not bad at getting up, but coming down is always the tougher thing for lions. So it's been quite entertaining watching these guys go about it, and isn't that just the most magical sight? So everybody always thinks of leopard in a tree, and cheetahs often use fallen over trees, but you can see here that lions are exactly the same. Lions love a fallen over tree as well, particularly cubs. They like to go up and down, and it's nice and comfortable for them to lie, and it's also a great place to push each other around and play and go up and down and practice all of those kind of skills. So it's an absolute treat that we've been given this afternoon, and we've really been spoilt by having these guys on these kind of places and running around and playing and jumping on one another and up in the trees there. You can see the games are still continuing with some of the older siblings and one of the younger ones. So the female with the 4 cubs, are the young ones, maybe still way behind us, or she's somewhere else. Joy, you say a lion jungle gym? Exactly, it is a lion jungle gym, and a naughty lion jungle gym as well. You can see, look, now we're going to bite one another and pull each other's ears while we're trying to climb. It's going to end in disaster at some point. I feel like someone is going to fall out. Almost, there we go. So you can see this is typical of lions when they are having a boisterous mood. And we've been so spoiled this afternoon. Like I say, normally we get lions at this time of the day, sunset time, that are mostly sleepy and just starting to wake wake up, but this afternoon we've been thoroughly spoiled by very active, very kind of busy cubs that have been running and playing, and it's been an absolute pleasure to spend every little minute with them. Now, it seems as though they're all settling down. It doesn't seem like they are going to get towards the dam to have a drink, which I was hoping for, which is okay. The adults are all having a bit of a kind of time to relax, and I'm not surprised given the boisterousness of these cubs this afternoon. I think they deserve a little bit of a break and a bit of a rest. Now, talking about a break and a rest, it is that time of the day for us to start heading home. We've been out for the afternoon. It's now time to start getting back into the camp, and so it's been an absolute pleasure to be out here with all of you. I hope you've thoroughly enjoyed it. It seems as though it's been an action-packed afternoon with the Mara and Ralph and all of us, and it's a wonderful way to finish the day. So from all of us, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you tomorrow on our sunrise safari with one last view of the cubs.